only on KTXE TV.
Welcome back to the Texas Daily. Joining us now, we're excited to introduce you to Beverly Sanborn. She's a nationally recognized gerontologist and Vice President of Program Development for Belmont Village Senior Living. Beverly, welcome. We're glad to have you here.
I'm very happy to be here.
You're going to help us today with some brain games to keep our minds sharp. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. Perfect. Well, we need it here. We need that.
I play a lot of solitaire. Does that help?
Slightly.
Slightly, okay.
You need to do a little bit more.
More than that. Okay.
Well, let me set up this conversation by asking you a little bit about the current landscape. We hear in the news, we hear a lot more about dementia and Alzheimer's these days. But is that just because we're paying more attention, or are there really more cases?
It's really because we're paying more attention and because the diagnosis is much, much better than it used to be. And it's
a lot
a
more of us are living longer, too.
Well, that too.
Yeah.
And they
That
say
too.
that it comes a lot earlier than at one time we anticipated. In other words, you don't have to be 70 to have Alzheimer's, right?
Well,
Doesn't it start to
there
build
are
like in the
people,
30s and 40s?
Yes, there are people who get Alzheimer's early. It's an early onset. But it is still primarily a disease of older people. The older you get, the higher the probability, until you're about age 85. About 85 is about a 50-50 chance.
So is it preventable?
It's not preventable yet, but it looks like if you follow a kind of a whole brain fitness program, you will be able to delay, or some people will be able to delay. I don't want to say everyone, but a fairly large percent will be able to delay symptoms.
You mentioned early onset Alzheimer's, but are we learning now that each case is somewhat distinct and not all cases of dementia have the same symptoms or tendencies or characteristics?
Yeah, no, you're quite right. There are many different kinds of dementia. Alzheimer's itself is the most common.
Yes.
But you can have Alzheimer's and a variety of other dementias as well. I mean, you could have Alzheimer's and stroke, for example, or Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. You could have a variety. And there's probably, I don't know, the latest data is probably over 100 different kinds of dementia.
Wow, really?
But the most common is Alzheimer's.
What's the biggest contributor? Is it medication as we age, or what is the biggest?
No, well, genetics, for people who get it under the age of 65, genetics plays a much larger role. There's no question about that. But for older people, it is a function of aging that is not clearly understood. They still don't really know why it starts. There are some genetic bases for people who have Alzheimer's, but even that isn't clear. I mean, there are still many people get Alzheimer's, and just it's sort of luck of the draw.
But I've heard over and over, sometimes when people in my dad's age, when you hit 65, you retire and you just kind of, okay. And so you're not challenging your mind like you were on a day-to-day basis.
That's
and
right.
there are a lot of things that you can do to challenge your mind to maybe stave off the fact
that is definitely correct. The most important thing you can do is exercise.
You mean exercise the body or the brain?
Really, that helps the brain.
Yes,
Right.
Of all of the things you can do,
Really?
physical exercise is the one unequivocal kind of research data that says yes, you exercise regularly, and by regularly, I mean it's really a lot of exercise.
You've got to break a sweat.
You have to break
Now,
a sweat.
What are
yes.
these 6 domains that we want to talk about here? You can see them on the screen.
The
Beverly.
6 domains are the domains that we use for mental fitness. That's in addition to exercise, and also in addition to eating a heart-healthy diet. The heart-healthy is important. But the 6 domains are the areas that you want to practice every single day. Actually, they can be combined. It's a little daunting to see 6 of them. But every day you need to practice those domains. And
What do you mean by organizing ideas?
well, that particular one is the one that's the most complex, and the one that when you retire you don't do enough of. Organizing ideas is when you have, for example, you would read the paper, or you would watch your show. It isn't enough just to watch or to read. You would want to tell someone about it. As a matter of fact, when you all are talking, when I was observing you talking earlier about the current events that are going on, that coming up with an opinion and describing your opinion, that is organizing ideas.
It's obviously much more challenging and stimulating than just reading a newspaper or watching us, right?
That's right.
Okay.
So what's the next?
that
Let's
clear.
put the graphic up again. What's the next domain? Learn something new. Okay,
Learn
that's
something
pretty
new.
self-evident.
Yes, that's
Learn
right.
a language.
Yeah, learning a language or a computer program.
Okay.
A computer program is
Play
also very good.
games.
Playing
Play
games for simultaneous mind and memory, and we've brought one for you. Well,
Oh.
this one is kind of an analytical one as well.
Is that like a card game, maybe?
Or
though? You could-
Sudoku?
Sudoku, yes, Sudoku, or that's where crossword puzzles would come
Okay.
in, that kind of thing. Yeah.
But, I mean, would I be
Sudoku.
playing poker?
Yeah,
Would that
Sudoku.
suffice?
Poker is very good.
Really?
Yes,
Okay.
if you're a good player. And bridge. Bridge is also
Bridge is
very
good.
good. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then quickly, what are the other three areas?
A couple of others. that we
The
can
other
see.
three areas are.
Can you put those up,
Yeah, we have to.
Carrie?
We can't remember what they were.
Oh, I can't remember.
Well, I think it's easy.
Recall long-term learning.
Okay, now long-term, a recall of long-term learning might be something like, that's not reminiscing, about
The good old days.
about what your first wife, told you that made
That
you
doesn't
annoyed.
help.
Why she's my first wife.
That's right. That's right.
It's what you learned in college.
Or even
Is that
in
it?
grade school.
Or grade school.
Now,
okay.
one thing you could challenge yourself with there is to draw the United States of America from memory, for example. That would be something you should have learned. And that would be good because you'd be challenging your physical body as well as your memory.
Okay.
It's surprisingly hard to do.
Oh, yeah. And then what's the
surprising
next one? Quickly, what are the last couple of items here? Combine movement.
Simultaneous body movement and mind and memory. That would be something like square dancing. What's very challenging for the brain is to do something that involves your memory, your mind, but also the physical body. Well, there's
Is that like one of these?
yes, but you have to do several sequences, and I would call them out, like in square dancing.
Oh, right.
Like
So you're listening.
Yes, you're listening and you're remembering, and then you have a leader calling out of sequence.
So
Really,
square dancing is helpful.
excellent.
Wow. Yeah.
Square
Okay.
dancing
Now,
is
this is a silly
excellent.
question, but is that why you see so many elderly homes doing square dancing? Was there a method behind that madness?
I think that just happened.
Okay.
Come on, Scott, it's just fun. Don't tell me. Have you never do-si-do?
Meaning behind that. I was impressed. I was
I'd
impressed.
like to think it was for that reason, but I think it
It's
was
not.
for
Okay,
fun.
okay.
Yeah,
Just check.
I
Just
think it-
check.
Okay, well, there's one more. What was the last one on the list?
It was analytical
The
problems.
last- now
Do
that's-
math problems.
yes,
Is that like calculus?
well, now, if you want to get into that, that would be superb. Most of us are not going to do calculus.
No, but-
So what we've developed are some analytic problems
Okay.
that are, some of them are like a word game. And they're much more, they're really more fun.
Okay.
I think I
The
know
thing
where
is,
you're
it
going
has
with
to be
Yes.
fun.
I think we're the guinea pigs.
Yes.
here.
Okay, so
Let's guinea pigs for that.
So Beverly has brought some games, and
Oh,
she's going to
gosh.
challenge our mental prowess with the games right after this.
no.
So stay here. See how we're doing.
Oh, dear.
All right.